Ah, Star Wars. It spawned a huge fanbase from ultra hardcore nerds to that chick that heard something about that guy with deep breath. The Evil Mouse Corp created another picture that expands the universe. Was it a typical Disney product, or we can start chopping each frame of it into memes? Well, let's see, but before we start, there are a couple of minor spoilers, but I will warn you about them, so don't worry. The movie was a troubled project from the start. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, that were initially appointed to direct the picture, were fired 4 months after the start of the shooting. Ron Howard became the replacement in summer of 2017. Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, said that this measure was taken because Chris and Phil were fooling around too much, and Disney doesn't like that shit.
You don't talk to me like that!
After that, Ron Howard refilmed almost entire movie, 70% of that to be precise. So in the end, it was like a fucking Frankenstein monster sued from bits and pieces of different people. The word pieces is way too hard. Alden Ehrenreich, who plays Han himself, was widely criticized before the picture even came out, for all kinds of reasons, from bad performance to difference in height with Harrison Ford. And there were some rumors that he used acting coach in order to improve his performance. What?
My mouth. Would that it were so simple?
Would that it were so simple.
Keep your head still. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
I'm trying to say that, Mr. Laurent.
But it was later refuted, and he told that it was done to mimic Ford better, blah blah blah, who the fuck cares. George Lucas and Harrison Ford were consulting a team a bit in order to help this shit show. So what we've got in the end? Before we start, I obviously don't have Han Solo in Blu-ray, so instead of feeding you with potato quality footage, I'm gonna feed you with good old prequel memes and other cringy stuff, okay? Good. Let's get it straight. Was it the greatest Star Wars movie ever?
Hell no, to the no, no, no.
But it's the best we've seen since Disney started making Star Wars.
NANI?
I'm serious. Han Solo was not bad at all. Of course I can start copying and cherry-picking fuck-ups, like one particular fucking moment.
The fuck is that? Shit!
But overall it was good, especially after my expectations were lowered down to zero because, you know, Disney. Visually it's done well, although I missed lightsabers a lot, but it's a different kind of movie. It's like picking a smuggler class in the Old Republic. It was never my favorite, and I always had boners for the lightsabers and made a juicy female Zabrak warrior, for obvious reasons.
That's a 10.
There is no force, there is no real empire, this is about people scrabbling along. They are not trying to save the galaxy. That's what one of the co-writers said about the plot, and I totally agree. It's a gangster movie in Star Wars rap, and it doesn't make it bad. It perfectly fits Han Solo's story and his life as a smuggler. Casting is good as well. I think it's the best performance of Emilia Clarke, and yes, I fucking watch Game of Thrones. Woody Harrelson is always good, and well, yeah, the main guy could have been better in terms of acting, but who the fuck cares? It's not Macbeth.
Full of scorpions is my mind.
What's done is done.
The plot is good, keeps you interested for whole 2 hours, has well developed characters, especially Kira, has good puns and a lot of references. I like the story of how Han got his last name, the chest from original trilogy, and negotiations joke from Beckett, which is obviously a reference to prequels.
Hello there.
I didn't understand a couple of moments though. First, when Solo finally meets Kira at the mansion, everything that he was doing for the last years was done to be reunited with her. All this suffering and hardships, and when he finally meets her, he's like,
I've missed you. It's okay. You can look at my butt.
I'm exaggerating obviously, but that moment could have been sharper. Maybe it's the problem of performance and not the script. Other moment is when Enfys Nest asks for help and Beckett is like, meh, and even started to think about helping her despite the fact that his close comrade and his beloved woman died because of her. What the fuck is this? It's like he forgot all that shit suddenly. And why she didn't tell that she's for the rebellion at the very start instead of being semi-villain for half of the movie?
I don't know.
I also felt slight lack of central villain. Well, it's supposed to be Dryden Voss, but he's no real villain. There has to be some central figure with his own ideology which directly rivaled the heroes. Well, the movie didn't need it, so it's just me being a nitpicky dick cause I have a huge boner for good villains, but still. As JW Robot, L3 was the second best character. I really liked her. But when she dies, you can't help but imagine that batshit crazy, pink-haired, fat SJW, and thus you're glad that she's dead, instead of feeling sorry for her. Shame. L3 became a victim of her real-life prototypes. Still well done, Disney.
Good.
And last, but not least.
What the fuck?
Just why? For fuck's sake. Jesus fucking Christ, it was so bad. Yes, I know that the Clone Wars also fucking resurrected him, but it's more like a fanfic, not a main story. And now you put him in the official Star Wars movie with a protesting dick. For fuck's sake. I know that it was a nostalgia thing, like, yeah, that guy from another movie, I remember him. I like Darth Maul and his story a lot. But it ended in Phantom Menace. Well, fuck, I can't believe they didn't have some other creative ideas about who can be the lead of the Crimson Dawn Syndicate, and I think that they just sold all those ideas for the nostalgia. Bad. This scene was like adding a teaspoon of shit in the meal when you already wanted to compliment the chef. Now, you want to flip the table, kick the waiter in the nuts, and leave, but fuck no, you gotta know what's for the dessert, since you were waiting for it for 2 hours. Seriously, even if they straight up excluded this scene, it would have been miles better. That should tell you something about how bad it was. Returning to the movie itself, I remember a couple of other small fuck-ups, but they're not so significant, and this video is getting way too long anyway, so just forget it. Han Solo was second in pre-order tickets after the Avengers. Disney expected $150 million during first 4 days, but they didn't even make 100. Money-wise, the Solo spin-off is a colossal fuck-up. And by fuck-up, I mean barely making the money back after 3 weekends, and that's without expenses on marketing. Wall Street Analytics expect the final loss of Disney to be around $50 to $80 million, and that's despite relatively good reviews. And why is that exactly? The film had problems during production. It came out 6 months after the last Star Wars movie. Star Wars are not popular in China. And the leading actor, Disney sucks balls. Infinity War and Deadpool came out recently. And they plan to make 2 more of those. I know, right? And that's not counting Boba Fett spin-off by James Mangold and possible Obi-Wan movie with Ian McGregor. Will it happen after all those fuck-ups though? Who knows? And you know what, mate? One more thing. I understand why Disney started a theme of prequels, sequels, spin-offs instead of grasping a new story. To make money! I get it. People tend to choose what they already know, or at least heard of, and it's easy to exploit good characters that are already written, so you don't even have to do shit. But why this insanely rich company didn't attempt to at least once try something new and actually step away from the events that happened around the battle for the Death Star? The Star Wars universe has shit ton of well good stories from different times. You don't even have to create anything, just read the fucking books or play KOTOR. I bet half of the fanbase would trade their left nut to see the movie about this guy. Or this guy. Or this shit. Jesus, well, you get the idea. It will satisfy both the fans and people that just went by cause the stories are well good. And you have money to hire best writers to adapt those stories. I also can dream about an R-rated Star Wars movie, but that's just my wet dreams. Someday. And to all of that, Disney says,
Lick, lick, lick my balls! Yeah!
I do understand that movies are a huge business and high-budget pictures have to be profitable in order for the industry to keep going. But Disney, come on, man. I'm sure you can take a slight risk of trying something new instead of making the same safe bet over and over again. You're wasting great potential to create a product while you can achieve real greatness. Well, it's not news or something, and it's often, if not always like that, but it doesn't make us, true fans, less angry and sad. Well, to sum up, despite all my ranting and overall poor reception, I liked the movie. Yeah, even with that Darth Maul moment. Fuck, so bad though. So yeah, it's the best we've seen so far from Disney. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to watch my other videos, you can click on your screen in those little boxes. A subscription would also enormously help, but it's obviously up to you. See you soon, pals.